Hey, welcome guys. In this video we're doing a review of the Amazon Fire TV with 4K HDR playback capability built in with the AI assistant. Now the remote control doesn't feel that great in the hand as it's rather flat. There's a small indentation at the back. This isn't a deal breaker, but just not one of the better remotes I've used. The great thing is that all the buttons are easily accessible from your thumb. It's all within easy reach, as well as the button for the microphone to activate the AI assistant. The physical design is rather simple, something similar to a Chromecast, for example, but a little bit larger and in a pendant shape. However, it's still small enough to easily hide behind a TV or a monitor. There are absolutely no buttons on this device. One side has a port for power connectivity, and the other side has an HDMI connection, which this device allows for 4K 60 frames per second playback, including HDR. It's powered by a quad-core 1.5 GHz processor with a Mali 450 GPU, with 8 gigs of internal storage and no microSD card slot, which is rather limited for the operating system and additional apps to be installed, especially at this price point, because yes, you can download and install additional apps. It would have made more sense to have this at least 16 gigs of storage. And for whatever reason, previous versions of the Amazon Fire TV had a micro SD card slot, whereas in this version it's been removed. As for the RAM, it's unknown how much this device is packing. There's another thing that's limited, and it's no Ethernet connectivity. To get an Ethernet connection, you'll need to buy a sold separately adapter. Again, at this price point compared to the Chromecast Ultra, which has one. However, if you have a strong enough Wi-Fi connection, you should be fine, as this is compatible with up to 802.11 AC. Still on connectivity, it does support Bluetooth 4.2, so you can connect Bluetooth headphones for private listening. Lastly, there's a Fire TV remote app for Android and iOS. Thanks to its small design, it consumes a low 9 watts of power, and the micro USB wire which powers the device is 5 feet in length. And the great thing is that the power adapter at the end, it only takes up one spot in a power bar for your home theater system. And in terms of audio, it does have Dolby Atmos compatibility, as well as Dolby Digital Plus and Dolby Digital. So what you guys are seeing is the main interface. This is pretty much what you see every time you boot up the device from sleep mode. So let's go over to the top where the settings are. We'll just go over that very briefly. Here you can control your Wi-Fi network settings, the home assistant AI is here as well. So just going back to the top navigation bar, there is a search button over here, but I honestly just use the voice assistant command on the remote control to just speak what I'm looking for. It's much faster and it works pretty decent. I can go over to your videos, which honestly is make any sense, and a lot of this stuff I don't want or watch. I have no idea why all of this is considered my videos. It just feels like Amazon is shoving this stuff in my face and that they want me to watch their content no matter what. I mean, you see Netflix at the bottom, which is more likely what I'm gonna use, but the rest is just pure Amazon stuff. And this kind of feeling carries over to the home page. So if you were to go down, we have recently used apps, then you have apps and games, Amazon content, featured apps and games, Netflix, other random stuff, Amazon content, Amazon content, Amazon content, Amazon, and it just gets on and on and on. It's pretty ridiculous how much they shove it in your face. Like, I understand this is an Amazon device, but Nvidia doesn't shove this much content in my face with the Nvidia Shield. It's very subtle, well done. This is a bit too much on Amazon's part. Continuing on, if you go over to movies, you just have a list of movies. Again, majority is Amazon content. TV shows is majority Amazon content. You get the idea. Look how much it's repeated. It's just so excessive. It's unnecessary. Going over to apps, you can browse just apps, whatever it may be here. If you're looking for additional apps that aren't listed here, you can always use the search function, which will present additional results. And then, of course, you have the settings like we mentioned. So we'll go over some of what my favorite apps. So if you go over to Plex, you do have the ability to play Plex content. So the Plex media player works pretty well when you're playing 1080p content. Now this media player does play 4K HDR content, as mentioned earlier, and it works really well with Netflix or Amazon Prime content if it's in 4K HDR. For some reason, it doesn't work well with Plex. I have no idea what the problem is, considering that my router, the Plex server, and the Amazon Fire TV is all within 5 feet of each other. I'm not sure if the 4K videos that I have, the bitrate is so high and huge in quality that it just can't handle it. Maybe that's why I can't play it back. That's the only thing I could think of as being the limitation here. So as you can see, a 1080p video works just fine. This is us moving into our house for the first time. That's why it looks so bare. I'm not sure why the 4K video content problem is there. Maybe it's just something to do with my videos being too high in quality. So there's the ability to use web browsers such as Firefox and Silk browser. It's not the greatest experience, especially with remote control, as you would expect. And I want to cover over the YouTube. There's no actual YouTube app. It actually defaults to a web browser to play back YouTube. I think this has something to do with the whole Amazon and Google feud that has going on about home AI assistants and stuff like that. This web browser looks identical to the YouTube Leanback app. It works pretty decent, but it's not as smooth and fluid as the actual YouTube app itself. Kind of disappointed about that. So what you guys are seeing is a video playing from my YouTube channel. Just want to show you the functionality and control that is available. Again, I've seen it play a little bit smoother and faster on a dedicated YouTube app. And one last thing, you can't actually hit back from the YouTube app. You got to press the home button. There's no real way to exit it per se. Switching over to Amazon content, especially if it's available in 4K HDR, it works stunning. Response time is fantastic. It works amazing. It's like instant loading. I'm blurring it out because YouTube has this video scanning technology in which if something copyrighted is playing, it'll ban my video. One of the cool things about the Amazon Prime content is that it'll show you something called X-ray vision, which will show you details about cast and locations, stuff throughout, like little tidbits about the filming and movie trivia. Overall, the quality of 4K content from Amazon Prime content is fantastic. So this one I want to show you is CTV, which basically if you have a certain TV subscriber account in Canada, for example, you can watch it live. You can watch TV live. This depends on where you live, of course, and this app may or may not be available. There might be different apps available for you depending on which country you live in, but this is available in Canada. And of course, you can watch shows on demand if, again, it's available to you. And it works pretty well for the most part. So loading time with Netflix is pretty good. It seems to respond rather quickly. So as you can see, it just pops up. Switch over to my profile. And it seems to do really well. Just your typical Netflix layout, nothing special here, but it works great. Very fast and fluid. So there's one thing I want to go over is, of course, apps. If you go here, and if you hit down, you see right now in the apps, I'm at the featured section. If I go to games, I'm in the game section. If I go to categories, it's blank. Now, this is the exact same problem with the Fire TV Cube. The categories just does nothing. And this comes back to another point, is that there is limited storage space on this media player. So if the more apps you want to download, eventually you will hit that cap, especially if you download games, for example, which is rather disappointing. Unfortunately, this device does not have screen mirroring capability such as Chromecast capability, which is a little bit disappointing, but not a deal breaker. So the Assistant AI works pretty well. You can control things like smart home light bulbs if it's Philips Hue, for example. It is compatible with IFTTT, Samsung Smart Things, a whole list of things. It's a really popular AI assistant. So if I ever press the microphone button on the remote, show me some comedies. And there you go. If we were to do something else such as, what's the latest news? And then it starts playing like a podcast from a news program from wherever region you're in. So the AI assistant functionality, it works great. You can control your smart home devices from your remote control, which is pretty awesome. There are some other things you can do, such as play Daredevil on Netflix. And there you have it. It just does it. It's really awesome. While this Fire Stick has a lot going for it, it's pretty disappointing that they removed the micro SD card slot compared to the previous versions, and it doesn't come with an Ethernet connection at this price point. And of course, that interface is always trying to shove Amazon Prime content in your face, which I get if they wanted to keep it at the top banner. It's always in your face then when you boot it up, but I just don't get why it has to be everywhere on the home page. It's this very cluttered mess. Overall, a solid device worth checking out, especially considering how fast and responsive it is, as well as the home assistant that's built into it. So if you guys found this video useful, be sure to check out my social links in the video description. Hit that like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.